That's how I'm going to look for this thing. They're going to punish everyone trying to short the market. They're going to bounce this thing up, and then they're going to do the same thing to the other side. People trying to shake this thing back up, trying to grab 6,400, trying to go for the big recovery here because they don't want to miss what happened back in April, and then they're going to pummel this thing all the way back over. I can pretty much guarantee that's what's going to happen. They're going to roll it back over and retest somewhere around 6,200 ES. Now, after we fall back over and retest 6,200, that's the big old question mark, the questeroni. Because now you have two outcomes once that occurs. Once this rolls back over and retests somewhere around 6,200, you have one or two outcomes. One, the double bounce, where it bounces again and then rockets back up to new all-time highs. Or two, they smoke it all the way back over and continue the retracement to back down, to my opinion, about 6,000. That'll probably be the leg of this retracement, if that were to occur. So which outcome is going to happen? I don't know. All I know is that I would expect a bullish start to the week, if not already, we've already seen it, and then roll back over for another test of 6,200 and change. Somewhere around midweek, could even be today, I don't know, but I would say mid-Tuesday-ish, late Tuesday, early Wednesday or so is when they'll make that secondary test. If not today, I don't know. I'm just outcoming the strategy there. So at the moment, we have 400 million in calls, 0 DTE. We have 121 million in puts. Very call heavy, and up we go. Appreciate that, Davo. Yeah, thank you. I posted a new YouTube video explaining the 3 criteria, so I hope you get some value out of it. I'm also going to post the discussion we had as well. I was in the process of editing. If you notice the video I posted was not the conversation that we had last week. The conversation that I recorded about the 3 criteria wasn't really great for YouTube content. The things I went about doing, it was difficult. I was having to edit too much and it sounded splotched together. So I'm just going to post the conversation raw online, and then I just created a different video to explain the 3 criteria. So we'll have 2 different ways to go about doing it. How was everyone's weekend? I had a fantastic weekend, man. Fantastic. It was a very weird weekend. Considering it's August, we had like 79 degrees, low stratiform clouds, very cool day. It was great. So, interesting. 6330 liquidity is up top. It's all that global cooling, man. It's crazy. There was some, I guess, fear that the Taiwan Secretary of Defense or something like that said that China was ready to invade. Obviously, we've been hearing those type of headlines now for a couple of years. Although I do think it's going to happen relatively soon. Probably not going to happen today. But who knows? $63.17 still coming up here. We just took out the overnight high and going. Very, very bullish move. You have to remember what's happening right now. What is occurring right now to cause this market to do what it's doing right now? Everyone who was short the market over the weekend is scrambling to get out of their positions, which causes what? Squeeze. Whether a short squeeze or a gamma, whichever you want to apply to it, right now the market's squeezing as people scramble to hit the exit. So we have a little paparoni. Trump is expected to announce a new Fed governor from the one that stepped down last week and a new BLS chief. BLS is the one, if you noted, the BLS.gov. That's the website that tracks and posts all of the CPI data, the non-farm payroll data, the NISL jobless claims, all that stuff. And he claimed that the numbers are being fudged, which I think they are, but however, they've been fudged now for years, not just under his presidency. So curious to see how that changes. 6330 here, we have a 6,000 CVD green, so everything's very, very green. Up and up and up. There you go. 700 million in calls, 228 million in puts. I'd like to summarize my conversation already that I've already had. I don't think we're done selling. However, I do think we're going to have a big bull rally, and obviously we're seeing it here. So just be on guard. Think about shenanigans when the shakeout occurs. They are going to fumble both sides of the book here to get people to chase. They're going to chase the upside, and the second they start to long, they're going to roll it back over and test 6250, 6240, 6200 on the on SPX. And we are going to be there for it, baby. Stick to the 3 criteria, and you will be safe. I promise you. How many times has a high volume spike with the bottom wick failed you in the past couple of weeks? It's been a glorious, glorious month. I'm looking to make August as glorious as July, if not more. Gold is coming up here after another bounce. They didn't quite get to my buy zone again. Beautiful. Looks like they're going to target 34.75, 34.78. I haven't posted anything in the signals channel yet this week. However, the only thing I've got on deck is oil. These are the 2 targets on oil here. If you've noticed, I got a couple of things drawn. I've got my baseline of 64.02. I've got a secondary little primary scalp target. I wouldn't swing long off this, but I would scalp long off of it, 64.80. And then I've got my audio trigger, 65.10. I put that at just an arbitrary area because I want to be notified before oil gets down to this area. I don't want to be notified when it gets there. I want to be notified before it gets there so I could tune up. So I put it about 65.12, 65.10 or so. Right now, that's the closest thing I have. Once this audio alert triggers, I'll post it in the signals channel so we can all take advantage of a little bit of oil. Who said anything about oil? You cooking? Anyway, here's the daily chart in the S&P. I hope you've already seen this. Don't let this be the first time you've seen the daily chart today. If not, I would smack your own face. But we have 1, 2, 3 bounces here at 64 or 62.40 with obvious, incredibly high volume. There's a couple of things to consider. If you're looking at the 50 Fibonacci, or the Fibonacci, is it Gnocchi? I don't know. We have 63.50 or so is going to be the 50%. But we also have a pretty robust SR flip, which is going to be roughly, right here, somewhere in this area. Prior top wicks, lower bottom wicks, somewhere in the 63.30 area. So we have a lot going on right there if they were to climb back up. And there'll be a perfect opportunity for them to top wick the market. Where's the next resistance? Yeah, right there. Just answer your question. Like for Dave Chappelle reference. Dave Chappelle was the GOAT. He was the GOAT. Oh, man. Beautiful, beautiful stuff, baby. Beautiful, beautiful stuff. We have a very, very, very minor data at the top of the hour. And obviously, things have been quite bullish. We're up 20 points since the open. Still going. Can you share your chart? Yes, I can. Change stream. Let's go to volume analysis. There you go. 63.20. We spiked to about 800 million in calls. They're now sold off a little bit here. We're down to 230 million in puts. Let's take a look at the VIX. The VIX spiked to 22. I think it was up 21% as of Friday. It has now rolled over to 1826 as they typically do. This is the same thing over and over. Remember the YouTube video that we frequently reference that I believe it is old Danny Gabagoo over here posted months ago, is that if you want to be profitable in the market, it's about having a good memory of price action pattern. Again, it's not patterns as in ascending wedges and all this other crap. It's about how they cycle the volatility, how they cycle the order book through every market movement. Giant red, they're going to bounce it. Giant green, they're going to top wick it eventually. So it's all a matter of don't chase, just react to the volume. The 3 criteria will set you free. Liquidity here at 63.17. If you are newly funded, especially if this is your first time getting funded, take it slow. Take it slow. Don't try to get the big one on day one. Instead, think about the challenge that we're doing here. Keep it open for 30 days, and I promise the profits will come. Take it slow. Someone posted a tweet today I saw that actually made a lot of sense. They said trading prop firms works in 4 phases. First, you can't even pass an eval. It's blown, 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 blown. Then, you finally pass it, but then you're in a funded account and you can't take a payout, and you blow the funded account over and over and over again. Then, you finally get to the point where you take multiple payouts before you blow it up, 2 or 3. And then you get to the point where you're not even blowing up a funded account. You keep them open for months on end. And it takes a process. But how quickly you go from step 1 to step 4 in that process is up to you. Because people treat it like a casino. What's the skew? Right now, the skew for S&P is slightly higher. They just had a big old level here at 6317, but that is now removed. They did not transact it. They just removed it off the book. But that was the skew. Right now, oh, they put it back on right here again. So you see this cat. He's trying to offload about 600 orders or so at here at 6317. If you're looking at NASDAQ, everything on the NASDAQ is skewed lower down to 23,000, which is 165 points lower. So I would expect this thing to top tick and roll over. It's just a matter of time whether or not they're going to do that. Still going. What is Bookmap showing at 6330? Bookmap is showing 200 orders at 6330 right now. We are 2 minutes away from my strike zone, highway to the danger zone here. And we are going to get to rolling, baby. We are going to get to rolling. We're going to be having a whole set of new giveaways in August. I hope you're ready. It's going to be a great time. So be ready. If you're not in the Discord, make sure you are in the Discord because we're going to be giving away a lot of accounts, baby. A lot of accounts. Hopefully, I'm giving someone $1,000 here in another month or so. Cash money, homie. $1,000 smackaroos. Never been so happy to lose $1,000, baby. All right, coming up, look at this top wick here at 63.31. That is the top wick from Friday morning at 8:30 Eastern Time. If we get up there, we have a couple of trend lines too. If Kennedy said he's at the zoo today with his kids, that's okay. There's your trend line for Kennedy on 6324. NASDAQ has already blown through that trend line. They've already blown through Friday's target. If you look, tech is extremely green. Ooh, Amazon just gave it all back. Tech is extremely green, except for Amazon. Does a 1,000 giveaway apply to the giveaway? Yeah, 100%. As long as you use my code and you signed up in the past week, I might even extend it a week too. Then I'm going to lock it. Yeah, you're up for the $1,000. The only thing I have to decide is I have to figure out people who try to game the system by only like taking like one quick scalp a day for 30 days and that's it. There's going to be a heavy discretion on my end on who's actually trying to participate in good faith. So we'll see. You're welcome, Sam. Love it, buddy. I'm glad to help. The 3 criteria, how long do you wait before you start applying it after the open? Well, I usually don't trade the first 15 minutes. The first 15 minutes to me is momentum. Sometimes I will, but most of the time I won't. So I wait anytime after the 15 minutes as long as I see it. Right now, we're in a heavy squeeze, which doesn't really surprise me here. We're at 1 billion in calls. 1 billion calls. Based on price action, do you see the incoming up to 23,348 and then roll? Do I see this 23,328 and then roll 348? I mean, that's still 150 points away. That's a very large target. I mean, we're talking undoing nearly half of this move, if not more. So, yeah, hopefully I'm in by then if that's going to case to the long side. But, you know, I don't know. All I'm looking for here, especially starting out over the weekend, there's a massive amount of long-term put selling here, given the fact that the VIX is getting dumped at the moment. We have a whole aggressive amount of call buying and put buying on the 0T. So, to me, I still think we're going to roll back over, obviously. I think I was expecting a huge bull move to start the week off. If you're Tier 2, I posted it in the weekly brief channel last night, expecting a massive bull move to start the week off. And here we go. So we'll see. You're welcome, buddy. You're welcome. You're playing with fire asking that question, Sam. You're playing with fire. Dan's in here. They're fantastic, man. I have 10 dozen eggs in my fridge right now, and I've got another 18 to 20 coming every single day. So I have a lot of eggs, but I'm almost done with the chicken coop, and I'll show y'all pictures when I'm done. 6330 still going green here. 15-minute chart, very green. We have S&P coming up right now. Nice, Mojo. Well done, buddy. Well done. As long as they keep smoking the VIX and coming up like this, they're not going to change. I'm telling you, man. Think about how heavy short side of the market was over the weekend. I know what I'm missing here. I got to put on my my theme music from last week. I was using Hans Zimmer, greatest hits, baby. That's a banger of a playlist on Spotify. Do I use the 3 criteria to enter a trend as well, if that makes sense? How you get a big wick with volume, mid, up, or downtrend? Yeah, 100%. So I use that. I addressed that in the video as well. The trend, I use that for continuation and or reversal. So if we come up into a resistance and there's simply no volume into that resistance, that tells me there's no more resistance there, and it's most likely going to breach through after a little bit of shenanigan. So in this case, the first 15-minute trend, I mean, there's not really a good way to get into a first 15-minute trend like this. It's very difficult. It's momentum. So yeah, right now it's obvious. Why didn't you just take a long and hold it? But another day it could have got smacked down and dumped the 200 points. I mean, that's the nature of the first 15 minutes. So that's why I don't trade it. And if I do trade it, it's small position sizing. But outside of that, I'm looking for volume. Yeah. What's the setting for my hero? I've got it set to 15. I mean, I've got it right now. It's active, but I've got it 15-minute intervals right now. But I mean, it's live data. Blastaroni, baby. Blastaroni. Sorry, juggling kids and stuff over the switch. About 64 or so. I'll have to get the exact level. But we're coming up. I'll notify y'all when I'm ready for oil. There you go. Thanks, Sam. Do I use the 3 criteria across 2 candles? Yes and no. Yes and no. So the whole theme, the whole reason why I came up with the 3 criteria is to give you something visual to go off of, where you could start making decisions on your own. So it's a concept of a bottoming market or a topping market and or continuation through a zone. So all that the whole theme by that is whether it happens in 3 candles or 10 candles, do we have the process of bottoming with volume into a support? The 3 criteria helps you answer that question, yes or no. If the answer is yes, then it's time to start taking longs and or get out of short positions. If we have a move down into a support, we have no bottom wicks that will hold, we have no volume over whatsoever, then most likely it's time to play a continuation trade through that level or remain short. And it's just conceptual. It's thinking what the market is attempting to do based on volume, because volume doesn't lie, especially outlier volume, and I hope the past month has proven that point. We've taken some banger of trades, especially Liquidity Lubu. We've taken some banger of trades the past couple of weeks simply by waiting for a high volume influx with a bottom wick and a higher close. Couple of 100 points on NASDAQ netted just by playing that 1 criteria. It's been great. Speaking of which, let's go to the 1 minute. So, right now, on the 1 minute, we had a high volume spike on this candle. We have a little top wick. Now, I don't trade off the 1 minute. I just try to look for an inflow of volume on any particular candle to narrow down where it's coming. 5 minute, we have a little bit of high volume top tick here at 63.32. which I believe is right at the Friday's highs. Yeah. So it's not an incredibly amount of high volume, but it is definitely a little bit of volume there. So there's a little resistance. The first candle wicks but doesn't close red. Well, it doesn't matter about the color. I could care less about the color of the candle. It's all about understanding, because all the candles are is a visual representation of what the order book is doing. So as long as I get a move down in support and then an aggressive bottom wick, I don't care if it's red, green, blue, purple, whatever, the bottom wick with a volume will tell me that we have demand. So I mean, I could change every single candle color. I could change every single candle on my chart to the same color. It could be the volume candles or the price action. Doesn't matter. And I'm still going to get the same exact analysis on all of them. What's up, Will? How you doing? Good morning, buddy. It's going to be a great week, baby. It's going to be a great week. I'm pumped. I'm pumped. Gold is freaking flying. Oil's not moving yet. Platinum flew. Dow. NASDAQ is already done flown. Does wick size matter? No. No. Now that's why I'm saying that's the part of that question there. That's the part of VPA and the 3 criteria. That's more of an art form. That's where experience takes hold. Because if you've got, like I said, a very large amount of volume with a very aggressive bottom wick, then experience will tell you that there's a good probability we're going to have an actionable long position back up to the upside. So it's really, and then if you have an incredibly large amount of volume with a very small candle or no wick at all, then that may say that, all right, well, we may have a good amount of buying here, but the sellers are equivalent or even more than what the buyers are. So it's all about the relationship between volume and price action. Training the brain to ignore color of the candle was super hard to do, but such an important piece. Yep. I mean, why do you think that I changed my charts? I mean, my chart right now, there's no red on it whatsoever in terms of, I mean, I've got the blocks, but all my volume is white and green, and my candles are white and green. By the way, another bottom wick back up here. So that big amount of volume, well, that amount of volume, it wasn't big. All right, well, here you go. Great YouTube video on 3 criteria. Thanks, Matt. Appreciate you, buddy. Yeah, so far, that is my highest performing video in the given amount of time it's been posted. So yeah. So far, it's doing well. I'm glad people enjoy it. Not referring to the color, but I'm referring to the closing lower or higher. Yep. So if you're looking for a bounce, you want it to close above the prior high close. If you want it to go lower on a rejection, you want it to close under the prior low close of the candle. NASDAQ new high of the day, so they just demolished that red candle. People trying to, this is one of those typical blast off mornings that we've had like 30 times in the past couple of weeks. Just absolute onslaught green day here, and you, of course, hopefully you've learned this by now. Don't go chasing a short position until you have a very clear 3 criteria, and right now we don't. We don't. We have no major top wick that's hold. We don't have major outlier volume, and of course we don't have a lower close, so there's no actionable short. It's only long positions here until it's ready, especially on NASDAQ. They are squeezing the living crap out of this market. Everyone who's chasing the short, baby. Oh man, what we got? If you want to get on with the trend, use the log volume nodes and the volume profile. There you go. Another top wick on NASDAQ. Oh, thank you. Say all of dumb money started trading VPA. What would smart money do? They can't fake volume. I mean, I don't know. Refer to options. They blast the market with options positioning. So, I'm happy I hopped on the stream to hear about you posting the video because I haven't seen it yet, but I'm not looking forward to it. Oh, thanks. Appreciate it. Thank you for sharing and actually giving a crap. I do give a crap, so thank you. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, too. You'll get notified when I post videos. But appreciate you hanging out, buddy. Yeah, so especially in the retail space, when people are just starting to learn, they get wrapped up in the red and green. They think just because a candle is red, it means that it has to be dominated by the sellers. Although technically that is correct, I suppose. There are more buyers and sellers and buyers if the candle's red, but it doesn't matter. The relationship between volume and price action is the true meaning of price action. Look at this. This thing is just flying. Massive candles. Look at that. Absolute squeeze on NASDAQ. Just going. We're already up 200 points. So far, so good, baby. So far, so good. How many people right now are pulling their proverbial hair out at the moment? Trying to chase the shorts yesterday. Their puts just got absolutely wrecked. Launching Iron Condors. Nice, Mojo. Nice. What you got, AK? How can I get up to speed with all this? I feel like I'm missing a lot. Ask questions. That's why we're here. You know, I think, granted, I've never ever been in another Discord server ever, but I don't know. I guess I like answering questions. So, ask questions. Ask questions. I do recommend reading the book Complete Guide to Volume Price Analysis. I recommend reading the last, watching the last 10 to 15 of my videos on YouTube. And then, of course, listen to the commentary here. This thing is absolutely flying straight up. Do not even consider a short on this market without the 3 criteria. I will punch you in the face proverbially if you do so. We're coming up to 63.47 is the next SR flip, but at this point, I mean, just continue to play the squeeze until it stops squeezing. We have 1.3 billion in calls. We are now at 70 million in puts sold. So it's still going, baby. You've taken 3 shorts. I shall punch you 3 times. $63.37. Green line going up is calls. Purple line going flat is puts. And we are just launching up. Launching up. What happened to the press ups? We did them for 1 day, but that was it. All right. I might be confused between the charting and the visual of your platform. There you go. Still high of the day. ES is going higher, 63.40. They are absolutely squeezing the market. Nothing but green as far as the eye can see. Everything the light touches is the long buyers. That is the short side of the market. You must never go there. I've resorted to describing memes and GIFs verbally. American Eagle shares jumped 13%. Again, after the big explosion last week. Still going. Let's go take a look at NASDAQ. We have 1.3 billion in calls on the books. NASDAQ is freaking flying. Coming up on the top of the hour right here. And just absolute monster move on NASDAQ. Monster move on NASDAQ. Booby trap? Yeah, probably. But the dark side has cookies. That's how they get you. That's how they get you. One minute. All right, we have a small influx of volume at 10 o'clock. We have a small top wick on the 5 minute. They're not actionable yet. The question you need to ask yourself before even considering a short position is that, have they begun the topping phase yet? Place yourself on the side of probabilities. Have they begun the topping phase yet? In order to get that, you need top wick, volume, and hopefully the attempt to make a lower close. Now, that could take 10 candles. They could pin this thing flat to 1 p.m. in the afternoon and then eventually roll it back over. We don't know that. All you have to do is wait for the signs. Let's go to ES. First top wick, but still holding. Watching the put flow, watching the options flow, watching the order book, just getting everything set up. We have a good amount of puts coming in the book here. The volume on this top wick is kind of mid. Exactly. So think about the relationship. Think about proportionality here. The bigger the upside move or downside move, the more volume you need to demand of the market to show support, to show resistance. So after this crazy squeeze on the market, you want to see a large amount of volume to indicate that we've finally hit some supply. Mid volume, meh, most likely is not going to tell you that we're getting ready to dump back over. Like right now, we have a nice little top wick on the NASDAQ, on the S&P, but it's not wanting to go down anymore. We have a very weak amount of volume. So any downside here will be treated as just a small retracement. And now they're about to blast it down your face, or up your face, I should say. We have liquidity at 23,260. Haven't taken a trade, been packing up for orders like an hour ago. Nice, McGurky, McGabagooley. What do I think about VWAP? You've been here long enough to know what I think about VWAP. I don't like it. I don't know. My thought on all that stuff is that my whole concept about the market is you have to have an edge. The probabilities, the statistics, history, the difficulty, you have to have an edge to make money in the market. And anything that's free, one, open to the public without any kind of interpretation, is not going to give you an edge. VPA, the reason why VPA is such a great system is that it demands that you have an understanding, even if it's your own way of understanding things. You can't just All right, turn on a VPN indicator and tells you what to do. You have to have interpretation, which that's where your edge is found. So any stuff like that, meh. Now, can you use VWAP as an indication for extension away from the average? Yeah, sure. The problem and what I want to be clear on this, the problem is relying on those things for decision making is the problem. That's the key. All right, hey, look, we have some skew down to 23,230. We might be setting up for a possible retracement here, but we need volume first, and even then, our target is so close, it's like meh. We have a lot of puts coming in on the book here. ES is topping over just a little bit. NASDAQ is starting to, but not quite yet. See if we can go for that 23,330 skew right down there. Last week, Bookmap shined. It earned every penny of its subscription cost last week. So far, it's doing the same. On down, look at the skew lower. Edges found is whatever takes time. Resources to gather. Yep, VPA requires all those things. Yep, definitely. Definitely. VWAP is an insanely valuable data point. Well, usually when people use the words insanely like that as a over-exaggeration or for dramatic effect, usually there's a little emotion tied up in that. So, is it valuable? I guess it's the eye of beholder. But my point is that you cannot rely 100% on those indicators. You simply can't. There's no edge to be had. So they're, once again, tools as part of a system. That's the key word there. You cannot have a trading system based on moving averages or EMAs or anything like that. So that's all I'm saying. All right, a little red down. We got 23,230, and now they're going for the skew at 23,200, all the way down. All the way down. What about footprint charts? I personally don't use footprints, but footprint is based on volume and order flow. So that, to me, if that's something you want to use, I'm a big fan of it. Anything based in volume and market structure, I'm a fan of. We have 730 million in puts, 740 million in calls as they continue to sell calls here. So we have a red candle. We do have a very, very small inflow of volume, but not a lot. So this is not normally what I would want to see for a strong short entry, especially after such a green move. So I'm still going to chillax a little bit and not try to think short side here until I have volume. What time frame do you find the 3 criteria to be most valuable given the average time horizon on your trades? For the stuff that we talk about on stream, usually between the 5 and 15 minute is great for me. The blending of the 5 and 15. if almost everyone sucks at trading, statistically speaking, why would you rely? See, that's my biggest argument right there. Is like if everyone is unprofitable, because there's a lot of interpretation there. Trading is more of an art than a science, because the science part is super easy. Buy low, sell high. It's not that hard. But the art part of things is what's hard, because you yourself is what defines your system. The interpretation of data is can you exploit a patternized weakness in the market for you to take advantage of. For me, it's buying into supports and selling into resistances, or hanging on to trends until I see the signs of a support or resistance. It's as simple as that. But that's my edge. Whether or not I can translate that to you all is part of my job. $63.40. Look, more liquidity up here. I have a question for you. People on the internet who say, in an argument where they're arguing against somebody, they say something like that's factually incorrect. What's the point of saying factually? Is there a way to be incorrect without it being factually incorrect? Can you be like opinionatedly incorrect? I feel like that's one of those dramatic things that people use in arguments to be condescending. That's factually incorrect. It's Star Wars, not Star Trek. Anyway. People on the internet drive me crazy. Spock was on Star Wars. 23,240 here. No offense to the geeks out there that can like Star Wars. We have 23,262. The main liquidity is 200, but now they're skewing up to 291. What do we do? Literally incorrect. Yeah. What do we have? What do we have? So we don't have high volume. We do not have three criteria. So what occurs? The market immediately and aggressively bounces it right on back up. So there you go. No shorts for me. We have skew back up to 23,290. Could you scalp short on that position and made a couple of points? Sure. Sure. But what I try to do is put myself in the best positions to catch a 200-point sell-off. If that occurs, great. If not, that's fine too. But I want to get all the signs showing that this could sell off 200 points, get in a position, and give myself an opportunity. Right there, the odds of that occurring was low because we didn't have a top wick that held. We didn't have high volume, and it bounced immediately back up. If I see a high amount of volume, I can go ahead and tell you exactly what I'm going to be looking to do. Until then, it's either long the market or Manos or Rebus. Manos or Rebus. $23,262. Let's go take a look at the S&P. Where's Trader J at? Where's my boy Trader J at? He's taking his first payout today. 620 right here is liquidity on ES. Everyone is unprofitable because everyone's undisciplined. I do agree with that, John. I do agree with that. Wait, you're not John, are you? Like the John? That's been missing from the channel for like 4 months? Not seeing Bookmap on the stream. Yeah, I switched over to my charts. Change stream. Bookmap. Yep, they just ate right through that 63.40. We're still skewed to 47. Everything is pretty much doing the same thing except the precious metals. VIX is still plummeting right here. So no bounce on the VIX yet. Remember, they are going to rally this thing until people start until they smoke all the shorts out of the books. That's fine. And then when they can figure out, hey, people are still going to be longing the crap out of this to get this into the V recovery play, then they're going to roll it back over, and that's when they're going to retest 6240. Count on it. And your three criteria in regards to the entry, the higher highs or lower lows, is the entry based on the body of the candle or the wick? The body. The body. Now again, the third criteria, if I had to place something on there, the third criteria to me, and I say this very delicately, is the least important of the three criteria. It's still very important, but it's the least important. It's like saying a ribeye is less delicious than a fillet. It's still delicious, but it's slightly less delicious than a fillet. So the real thing for me, like again, on this move, if I see a very high spike in volume, I am going to play the short side of the market, or at least attempt or get ready to play the short side. If I see a very high spike in volume with an aggressive top wick, I'm going to really like that. My confidence once ticks up again. The third criteria of getting below and closing below the prior close of the candle tells me the market is now ready to move lower, and I need to get in a position. My system dictates that I need to be in a position here. So what it's doing, it's like this is a perfect example. If you're a three criteria trader and you're utilizing the strategy, this is a perfect example to utilize that. It had kept you safe. There's not a single short that a single high confidence short that should have been taken here all day long. Whereas most people are going to try to short this crap because that's what the retail trader does. Also, if you look last week, there are a ton of long entries based on the three criteria you could have made a ton of money on. Every freaking day we had high volume spikes into support. So it's a fantastic system on which to gauge entries. Now I will say, admittedly, it is easier to identify a three criteria set up on a bounce than it is on a rejection. Usually there's more shenanigans involved on a top wick, simply because the market loves to go extended to the upside, where it does not love to go extended to the downside. If you look at bull trends, there are countless bull trends that go and go and go and go and never top wick. But there are very, very few downtrends that do that without bottom wicking. Usually on downtrends, there's tons of bounce opportunities on the downtrend and very little to the upside when it starts to do that. So it's easier for me to buy the market than it is to short the market. Well, hold on, we got sorry. Cut your steaks from chuck roast, all the flavor of ribeye and half the cost. Really, I've heard that before. I'm going to have to give that a shot. Filet is tender, sure, but tastier than marbled ribeye. Yeah. They're both delicious, don't get me wrong. I like them both. Ribeye all day. They are both delicious. I like a lean cut though. That's why I like the ribeye better, because I like a lean cut. For me, it's much easier to short the market. Some people are like that. Anna Coling talks about, she knows a trader that over decades was very profitable only shorting the market, and that's fine. If that's the case, then only play the short side. However, you have to be very patient. You have to be very patient if you're going to do that. I have found if you like to play the short in this market, you need to play with small micro position. And get this, if you like playing the short side of the market, then go over to RTY. RTY has been underperforming the market for 4 or 5 years now. So why not go and look for short opportunities if you like to play the short? Don't do it on NASDAQ. NASDAQ, that thing is a freight train. Filet mignon. Oh, yeah. We have $1 billion in calls. We have $623 million in puts. Puts right here. 63.47. Ooh, NASDAQ. Another 23.212 right here. Do we have volume coming in yet? We do have a volume spike on the 1 minute on the 10:15 candle. So do we have supply? That is the question. Do we have supply? I do not execute on the 1 minute at all. You hear me referencing the 1 minute. All I'm doing is seeing if I can see and note, are they front running the volume? Then I'll come over to the 5 minute and do I have a corresponding volume spike on the 5 minute? Right now I do not. So it's only showing up on the 1 minute, which shows that relatively it's a small amount of volume. Don't tell them about RTY. Yeah. Anybody CrossFit fans in here, or used to be at least? I used to be big into CrossFit. I owned a CrossFit gym. This past weekend was the CrossFit Games, which, if you don't know, is like the Super Bowl of CrossFit. At least it used to be. Now the sport's pretty much dead. There's nobody there. So I just happened, nostalgia. I went on the website just to see, I didn't recognize any of the names on the leaderboard or nothing like that. But I went to the bottom of the website, just happened to, and it has sponsors of the CrossFit Games. Guess who's one of the sponsors of the CrossFit Games? So completely random. It's funny. United States Border Patrol is one of the sponsors of the CrossFit Games. Completely random. You were close. Yeah. It's like I didn't know government agencies sponsored sports. It's weird. Also considering that they're, the leadership of CrossFit has always been typically left leaning. I was very surprised to see that. Oh man, my son and I joined CrossFit together for years. He can squat more. Heck yeah, man. That's a way. That's a way. All right, so we have a little red here coming down. Very, very weak. We don't have a volume spike on the 5. We have not even a volume spike on the NASDAQ either. That's true. Yeah, that's true. I'll give you that. Does that mean we're sponsoring? Technically, that's true, yes. I mean, I guess that's like the Navy setting up recruiting booths outside of the movie theaters for Top Gun back in the 80s. This is the last week to get your sale. If you want to get the free accounts for TPT, they're ending the sale this week. So what that means is you sign up using the code, you pay for your eval. Eventually you pass the account, you get funded. Eventually you take a withdrawal. When you take your first withdrawal, they refund you the cost of the eval. So theoretically it's a zero cost for the whole time. So they're extending it for another week. Be sure to get it. Use code OMTPT. And then we'll start giving out more accounts, baby. No volume, no red, baby. No volume, no red. All this looks like to me is a flag for higher prices. Look at the NASDAQ chart right here on my screen. Here, let me switch over to my charts real quick. Volume analysis. There we go. All right, so look at the volume. Look, not a single spike in volume, just down, 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 down. So what do I need to see for the 3 criteria on the 5-minute at least? I need to see a spike somewhere around there at least, if not higher, with a nice top wick. And then we'll get into position. The beautiful thing about the 3 criteria, the higher this goes, the more likely I am to front run the first 2 criteria. So if this thing spikes and blows to like 23, 320, especially if it starts getting into like 350 area, which is the SR flip, and I see a max amount of volume coming in, I'm going to short the first top wick I see. And then I'll be quick with my stop. And then see if I can grab me 100 to 200 points on NASDAQ. But I can only do that when I start entering higher probability areas. To me, it's about probabilities. It's like when you pull up to a roulette table and you're sitting there watching. And you wait for like the roulette wheel to hit black 4 times in a row. And you bet on red for probabilities. And then it lands black for the 5th time. Best athletes in the world do CrossFit, don't. Yeah, I agree. I agree. Classic grind up. I'm still waiting for the short SPY daily gap around 6:30. On such a big move from the open, could top wicking be lesser volume mean buyers are running out of steam? Yeah, 100%. So with volume dropping like this, we can absolutely mean the buyers are running out of steam. Yes, but that's only one side of the book. Now, can you top back over without a volume spike? Sure, absolutely. Nothing in trading is 100%. The 3 criteria are not 100%. It's about probability. So could this sell back off to 23,100 with 0 volume spike at the highs? Yes. But when the buyers start to drop off like this, the higher we go into a supply, I want to see that the sellers are getting ready to hit. Boom, volume spike, top wick, time to short. If I don't get it, cool. Then I'll just use the 3 criteria confirmation to get under the prior low on any volume that I do have, and I'll play a strategy play. But until then, I'm just kind of chilling. Where should we look for information on how to trade props? I want to give it a try, but I need to learn more. I'd probably ask questions here. There's a whole bunch of videos and stuff out there, but there's a lot of crap. I'll tell you how it is. I'll tell you like it. So if you, whatever you want to know, I'll tell you. Do you short NQ with ES or what else you said? I won't short NASDAQ playing ES. I'll have to do my analysis on the NASDAQ. But I'm back and forth here between the ES and NASDAQ. So there's my ES going higher. There's my NASDAQ about to go higher. So, yeah. I could confidently say with a high probability that we're going to come back down and retest 6240, or at least somewhere in that area, mid to late week, but not without blowing the shorts out first. My big thing about props kind of comes down to a chapter in the Bible called Proverbs 19, which says people usually destroy their own lives with their own foolishness, and yet they still blame God. Props are there as a tool. You could do very well in a prop, but people blame all the props for doing what they do and destroy themselves, and then they blame the props. So about props is you've got to manage your risk as you would a real account. So I've got a lot of good stuff. In fact, one of the next videos and podcasts I'm going to be doing is going to be exact how to manage a prop account, which is really not all that difficult for managing a real account. You just have to stay away from the low-hanging fruit. Do we have a volume spike yet? On the 1 minute, we do have volume spike. On the 5 minute, not yet. But we just started the 5 minute candle, so we're very young. This could be the volume spike. such a good quote. It is a good quote. Yeah, buy 30 accounts, copy trade, go for nothing. Yeah, that's what you'll find. There's many different theories out there. You know, some people say, who cares how many accounts you blow as long as you're net profitable. You're pulling more money out than you're spending, which I suppose I get to see their point, but that's not really, the average person can't afford to do that. You know, they can't afford to reset 5,000 times and finally take a payout. So, basically, stay away from minis. You got to stay away from the minis. More than one or two minis is way too many. Pick you a high quality firm that is not predatory, that doesn't require all these rules and screenshots and crap. But the two that I recommend is TopStep and TakeProfitTrader. If TopStep would let me, I would be an affiliate of TopStep, but they don't do affiliates. So, what are my thoughts on Palantir? I don't look at it. Volume always tapers off from the open, meaningless. Dude, you're just there to counter everything I say, aren't you? That is true, though, but that's not what I was referring to. That's factually correct. That's factually correct. Take your win rate based off the trade size based segment trade. Leave yourself with. There you go. Does it make sense to open a prop account if I can only trade once a week? Yeah, definitely. The places that I recommend prop firms is if you have the ability to trade. If you are a decent trader, you've got a good system going on, or at least some sort of a handle, and you just don't have any capital, then go open up a prop firm and try to see if you can get some money out. Use a prop firm to fund your real account. I don't think anyone should open-endedly trade props. I think there should be a means to the end of scaling out of your props and putting your money into a brokerage account. Could the same volume rules apply for the price level, apply for a time frame when it comes to three criteria, like high volume with multiple candle wicks? I want to see, I mean, that's why multiple time frame analysis works. Because you're able to determine what the volume scenario is here based on all time frames. So, you know, the 1, then the 5, then the 15. I'm figuring out what the volume is trying to do here. I'm trying to paint a picture and answer the question of what is the market attempting to do here? Are we in a topping phase? Are we in a bottoming phase? Is this thing going to blast my face off to 24,000? And the only way for me to do that is do multiple time frame analysis, 1, 5, 15. I'm seeing where the volume is building, and then I'll paint a picture. The three criteria is just to get you thinking. I want you to open your mind, and think. Quaid. I've used 50% of all withdrawals for my personal, 40% option, 10% of longer investments. Props remain to fund personal. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Yeah. Love it. UPS is getting pretty close to a buy zone, do you think? Let me take a look. UPS. It's in the game. Whew. God, man. UPS was the golden child of coronavirus too, man. It's hard to believe. Yeah. I mean, you know what's great about a name like this is that it's already come down beyond the pre-coronavirus levels. So there's no more coronavirus shenanigans built into this name. So as this thing's coming down, I like 82.27. That's fantastic. But obviously they're taking a bit of a beating here as the economy starts to feel some pain with the prices that we're seeing. So who knows? Possibly. I bet it would bounce off that level at least once, 82.27. In fact, I'm going to set me an alert. I like it. UPS, the good thing about UPS as well, that is a name that a lot of people are watching. So that is not like a low name that no one knows about. That's a big name. And I bet you everyone else is seeing that level too. Can you send me an invite? You have to sign up under a new name. Reason being is because when you go to cancel, if you ever do, everything has to be linked. Or if you ever change your membership, I can't go searching for 2 different names. So what you would have to do is cancel your membership and then sign up under another name. I think my biggest weakness is holding overnight. I got to quit doing that. Yeah. Yeah. I agree with you 100%. I take my profits and invest them in the long term. There you go. Beautiful. Beautiful. The only money that goes into my personal bank account for my prop firm is the money that I use to sign up for accounts. Everything else goes straight into my IBKR. Everything goes into it. That's why I haven't gone short all wicks on the 15-minute chart. Yep. Plus, I know me. I know me. The old me has a tendency to short these type of markets because it can't possibly keep going up. So I've learned my lesson a long time ago. So you have 2 options on a chart like today: do nothing or long side of the market until you see a large inflow of volume. Once that happens, you've hit supply. It's time to short. It's just waiting. It's a waiting game, baby. The time will come. The time will come. Hmm. 63.39, 62.243. Still just pinned. Where's BM liquidity? BM liquidity is, we have a big cat right here. He's going back and forth from 23.2 to 23.3 to 23.210, so all back and forth here. But the market is not making any real attempt to go grab that liquidity. So we do have a very small volume inflow at 10:30 on the S&P. On NASDAQ, very small inflow at the same candle, 10:30. But that candle was immediately hammered. So we have no top wick yet on the 5. We have certainly don't have a lower close. On the 15, it's nothing but bottom wicks. UPS is a 7.5% dividend. There you go. Beautiful. Beautiful. Red candles, very, very small. Hmm. That Harvard astrophysicist said there's a 0.005% chance interstellar is going toward us is natural. Ah, there you go. Chain stream. Let's go to bookmap. There you go. Still range bound. So overall here, what do I like to see? All these little, the close, prior top wicks, somewhere in this range is what I want to try to get under. To get really looking for a downside action here. So there's the morning high and the morning low. Coming on down. $23.20. They've undone a good amount of that CVD. We have bookmap spot game at 1.1 billion in puts. 1.1 billion in puts. Let's see what happens. Top comments that I'm calling ice when they get here. I love it. I love it. That's hilarious. I'd like to see us consolidate here and then roll over. It would make me believe the rollover have a better chance of some legs. Yeah. Yeah. So we have some liquidity to 63.30. We have 63.25. We have ES. We have NASDAQ. Still hasn't filled that liquidity, but we have some down to 23.2. We have a small inflow of volume on the SPY. Chilling. Tesla's rolling. Nice. We have 1.3 billion in puts, so they are buying puts here. 0 DTE puts. And they have sold off a little bit of the calls, but they're still call heavy. So I'd love to see a lot of call selling to kind of intertwine with all this put buying to kind of get the ball rolling here. Other than that, man, there you go. We do have a lower close on the NASDAQ. NASDAQ is starting to trickle ever so gently. Ever so gently. Have you tried all the platforms? Which one has been your favorite? Well, in terms of pure execution, Quan Tower is my favorite. In terms of actual prop firm, Top Step and TPT are the only ones that I've tried. Well, that's not true. I tried Apex, but Apex, I think everyone knows, is a complete dumpster fire. Profit target met. Nice, Damien. Well done, buddy. Well done. Bottom wick across the board. Not wanting to give back an inch yet. It's all a matter of chillaxing. Figma shares extend decline to 21%. Yikes. Bottom wick right on back up. ES is coming up 63.36, defending the lows. And there you go. I'm just watching until I see something to get me. Just watching. This red line here is not only the day's highs, but it's the morning high, the first hour high. So what we see here is a very, very large range, very, very large trend that trended very early. So the fact that this thing blasted up 40 points in the first 15, 30 minutes, look at this, this is going to come all the way back up to the highs. Tells me that it's been a very early morning trend. I'm watching gold, it's rolling, I'm starting to look for a nice opportunity. Nice. Let's take a look at gold. Look, undid that entire move in one candle because we have had no volume. Gold, I don't do the morning range on gold. But yeah, nice little top tick. Let's go back and look on gold. A lot of resistance here in this gold area. Y'all would drive me nuts, have me switch back and forth between bookmap and charts. We need to pick one of them. Here. 23,240. ES, high of the day. High of the day. All right. Most likely that'll get us to 63.45 here. Monster green candle. One of the biggest candles of the day. Look, new high of the day. Blasteroni. They just shorted they just smoked everyone trying to chase the short again. Now this thing is going to probably go to 50. Booyah. Beautiful stuff. Beautiful stuff. I just noticed your candle size based on the volume is pretty cool. Yep. Patience in the long. Until you have volume, you have to remain long biased. Rest of the market's starting to respond. Nvidia's bouncing. Apple's going. Microsoft. Amazon's still getting smoked, but they're the outlier for the day. Meta. Everything's holding on. It's nutty stuff, dude. Nutty stuff. Yeah, if you go into VPA, or not VPA, TradingView, you could switch it over to volume candles. So if you click on the little candle indicator at the top on TradingView, click on volume candles, it'll switch them to volume-based candles. There you go. Was that a selling climax candle right there? Interesting. Interesting. That has all the looks of a selling climax candle right there. Interesting. 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 Do we just have some sort of news event that I didn't see, or is that just a pure selling climax? No, that was just pure selling climax right there. So now we might be time for a short position based on that. When I see stuff like that, things get a little wonky. I get this question 1,000 times. That's just to set up my TPT account. How long till the account is fully accessible? It should be pretty immediate. Pretty immediate. Yeah, a few hours at the most. Something's going on with this candle. When I see a very slow market that blasts higher and then gets decked all the way down, that to me looks like a selling climax, but they're already buying this thing back up, so wait for this closed. Wouldn't that be a buying climax? Not if they close this candle down, because what a selling climax is when you go into a resistance, you have a very, very bullish move, a very aggressive bullish move higher. It gets people tripped up, and then they smoke that candle back down. That's a selling climax. Buying climaxes occur at the bottom of the market into accumulation. Selling climaxes occur at the top of the market into distribution. Yeah, try logging into the Trade-O-Vate. I don't know which broker you each picked, which one you did, but you might have to go on there and accept some disclosure. Yeah, some contracts. Come on, baby, do it. Look at the liquidity skew down to 6332. 1.3 billion in puts, 1.3 billion in calls. So someone's getting smoked. Somebody's getting smoked. Are you asking me if I've read Complete Guide to Volume Price Analysis? No, I've never heard that book. Who writes it? Who's the author? Possible news event. I will be substantially raising the tariff paid by India. Okay. Anna Colin calls it a selling climax at the top. Tom Williams calls it a buying climax at the top. Okay, there you go. Am I bullish, bearish, or neutral these days? I've been very bullish until the past day or so. So I've instructed my members and myself to buy every dip that the market throws at you. And I've still, even the fact that I have switched over to macro bearish, I've still bought every dip the market's throwing at us, even until Friday afternoon. And today, like I said, my thesis going into this week was very strong bull reaction. Even when we do start to do the downturn, I'm still only thinking very moderate correction. So yeah. You've turned the corner. Nice. Yeah, Trump flapping his gums here. We have 1.3 billion in puts, 1.3 billion in calls. We have a liquidity skew down to 6332, which was just put us at the bottom of this little mini range here. We have a high volume spike, whether or not it's news driven or not, whichever. We'll see if the fundamentals or the technical analysis here wins against fundamentals. We have a nice sweeping top look on the 15-minute. So the signs are pointing for a temporary retracement here, but we'll see. Man, I'm already on 30 minutes long. I will substantially raise the tariffs on India. There you go. That was the comment. Market's about to go higher on that comment. There you go. Do we get it? Do we get it? What's my target for retracement? Macro target is 6,200 for now. Now, talking about the overall where we actually bounce and that's it for selling, 6,000. That's what I would kind of look for. About 6,000. What I think is going to happen this week, I think they're going to blast the market. This could be it, the top of it. I think they're going to punish the long chasers and they're going to dump this thing back over to retest Friday's lows. And then after that, I'll have to reanalyze to figure out what exactly they're going to do here. But I know how they like to punish the market, and they like to punish the people in the shakeout when this market occurs because, you know, we're coming off of a 4-month historical bull trend. We've never seen anything like it, and that keeps happening. You know, that keeps happening every year or so. We're getting these massive bull moves the past 4 years, and when the market finally does top tick and roll over, they're not going to allow that to occur the first time without any kind of, you know, shenanigans. So, dump the market over quickly in a day or two, which is what they did last week. They're going to bounce it and ram it down their face for a day or so, maybe not even. And then they're going to retest the lows. And then we'll have to determine, is that just simply a bottom, a double bottom? Or is this actually going to blow down to 6,000 and then we'll regather down to 6,000? All I know right now is the main option positioning is 6,200 right now. The main wall on the option chart on SPX is 6,200. So that's the target to beat. Well, you have 17 trades with a profit factor of 8.57. Would you make 100 grand a day? That's an incredibly high profit factor for that many trades. Usually when people are trading more than 4 or 5 times a day, their profit factor is very low because they're just scalping. Yeah, 17 trades is very high, but with profit factor that high, that's exceptional. That's exceptional. So when I see the 6,200 options wall, are you doing longer dated puts to play that? Well, I mean that's the main support here on the option chain. So you have to think 6,200 puts are the main strike on the chain. So the dealers who are short 6,200 plays, they're going to do everything they can to defend that position until they have time to roll off those positions and or hedge. So there's got to be defense on the option chain at 6,200. And if you go back and look on the, hey, looking at the bottom, if you go back and look on the chart, there's a whole, and the relative level on the S&P is 6,240. We have a whole bunch of support at 6,240. So we have everything kind of correlating to defend 6,240 on ES and 6,200 on the SPX. So that's going to be a difficult level to breach. And if you go back and look on the daily chart, we have a very, very high volume inflow on this day, which shows very high demand. And of course, once again, it plays out ridiculous bounce. So in order to get through this level, you have to drop below this level without volume. You've got to be able to clear 6,240 with no volume spike to show that there's no more buying there, and then we retrace back down and we'll look for about 6,000, which is the consolidation zone from June. Massive green bottom wick all the way back up, and all we're doing here is absorbing to put in a higher price, it appears. Some days my days will look like this because I always enter with 1 to 2 contracts and then add to winners once they're over a profit amount. Yeah, the metrics on props are usually pretty wonky because of stuff like that. Yep, they removed all lower side liquidity here, and they have no inclination to roll this market yet. So it's just we're stuck. We've been here now since 9:45 in the morning. So we literally they rallied the market the first 15 to 30 minutes of the day, and they've pinned it flat. And now, like Mojo, who sold iron condors, he's making a ton of money. So there you go. I know we're talking in 3 criteria here in terms of top wicking, but if they close over 63.42, they're going to ram this down your throat. So we've seen this market before where it just keeps on going and never stops. So if we get over this 63.42, 62.43, especially with this amount of volume that hit at 10.50, if we close over that volume candle and show that we completely have absorbed that supply, then I would start targeting somewhere in the 63.70 ballpark. Oh, they just processed my payout. Sweet. That is my 11th payout. Sweet. For TPT at least. Does TPT update once daily or something? Started trading today and there's no progress. Yep, it does not update until if you're on CQG, it updates roughly 7 p.m. give or take. Sometimes a touch later. If you're on Rhythmic, it doesn't update until like midnight. All right, I'm gonna give this a few more minutes here, and I'm gonna call this a day. This is pretty terrible. I'm already 36 minutes past. No, I'm not. It's only 10:06. I got plenty of time. Disregard. Disregard. Chat GPT hit 700 million weekly users. Wow. 700 million weekly users. I am itching for the gym. Yeah. I am itching for the gym, baby. It was my daughter's birthday this weekend, so I had a little piece of cake. Don't know if you ever heard of it. I started 75 hard today. Oh heck yeah, I've done 75 hard. That's a great one. Hey, another bottom wick. They are bottom wicking every candle on every time frame, from the 1 minute up to the 15 minute. They're bottom wicking everything. So this is going to go higher here. Or at least it's not ready to go down yet, obviously. Hard not to do when Apple integrates into their Siri platform. Did they really? Huh. NASDAQ rolled over a bit and did not bounce. That's interesting. There's a divergence between ES and NASDAQ. ES is about to put a high of the day in. NASDAQ is toying with rolling over. So a little divergence. Where's NASDAQ's liquidity at? There is none. We have 1.3 billion in puts on. We have 1.4 billion in calls on, which tells me they're gonna move both sides here into the afternoon. Not without squeezing all the shorts though. Squeezing all the shorts, baby. Have I tried using Bookmap with TP2 to execute order flows? I have not. All of the trading servers are screaming, keep shorting people. We can't beat them. Probably. Probably. $63.40. $63.42. Watch it. They're about to do it. The longer it stays in this area, the more absorption is occurring. And the harder they're going to ram it down your throat. So just watch it. My deal short trigger is 63.50. That's beautiful. All I'm doing is waiting for my 3 criteria. That's all I'm looking for. Until then, it's up, up, and away, baby. Up, up, and away. $17 EMA. Heck yeah, baby. Heck yeah. NASDAQ has not recovered any of the move yet, so yeah. There's been a good divergence between the ES and NASDAQ. There has been a whole bunch of them. NASDAQ is coming down again. Look at that. 60, 23, 211. Hmm. 1.9 billion in calls. They are piling into calls, homie. As of what? They're right there at 12:10, 11:10. They added 700 million in calls in the last 4 minutes. It probably would blow up. That's the sad thing, Magabagouli. That's the sad thing. Bum, bum, bum. Oh man. 1.8 billion hanging out. Where are we going? 23,200. All right, 10 more minutes and we're going to call it a day. What y'all got? Any questions? Shouldn't be any questions yet, but I'll answer anything you got. Actually, I'm going to mute and I'll be right back, and then I'll answer questions. Can you trade options with prop firms? Not retail props. No. How's my book coming? Yeah, it's been on the back burner for a while. I got way too much going on to write a book. At least right now. Maybe the next couple of years I'll get it hashed out. But maybe now with AI, I can somehow utilize that to help me write a book. We'll see. Big reds. Look at this. Beautiful. Nothing yet, Ethan. How about the long NASDAQ with 3 criteria close over 33,220? I mean, right now, yeah, I mean, if they can get over it with volume, yeah, but right now, I mean, they're still shaking and baking. Still shaking and baking. Is OM breaking up on sound? No. If you break 63.30 mini supply in ES, I don't think it comes back. Yeah. Do you think an invasion on Taiwan would have a negative impact on TSM? Yes. Yes, I do. A little bit of red. What's up, Kay? New here. What are all the 3 criteria you look for? So I look for 3 things: volume, top wick, close below the prior low. In the case of reversal, so I did just release a YouTube video yesterday on it. So I had to go over to the YouTube channel, subscribe, and find that latest video. I'll post it right here for you as well. There you go. 63.33. A little bit of a red move. Indonesian market's killing me. Internet. You're welcome. You're welcome. Welcome. By the way, hopefully you hang around with us. We had an explosive morning, but it's been pretty dead now for the past hour and a half or so. And all I'm doing is waiting for the volume with wick. Thoughts on the last 5-minute candle? No volume, but decent little candle. Otherwise, we're pinned here. So, you know, if experience has taught me anything, it's to be patient on days like today. Patience in general obviously does really well, but on days like today where the market just refuses to drop, you've got to be very patient. I bet you can find an AI platform you could put your YouTube link into and make a book. Yeah, I'm sure you could do that. I think people can have a BS meter for that kind of stuff. For AI generated content like that, I think they can sense that stuff. There needs to be some sort of panache, you know, a little bit of showmanship in terms when you're writing content like that. And bottom wick. I'm just saying, could it help me edit and do all that stuff? That's where I'd want to utilize AI, not actually create the book. Another bottom wick. Every single move is immediately bottom wick, man. It's just they're not letting go. Now they're adding liquidity higher. 20 or 63.45. YouTube already said they will not give money. Yeah, I did. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, I remember that. I use ChatGPT Finance to establish good ranges for Codnors in diagonals. Really? I don't know they had ChatGPT Finance. I want to dip so bad. There you go. I'll tell you what, I use AI every day and it's very useful, but I'm sick of seeing AI content everywhere. Yeah. Yeah. Man, they're hammering this candle. There's the 5-minute on the S&P. NASDAQ is starting to do the same thing. And once it clears 43, 44, it's going to fly. I would probably another 30, 25, 30 points once it clears 43 or 42. Of course, if. I'm just looking around, see if I find anything. $63.40. We have a 5,400 CVD. We have NASDAQ is bouncing back up here as well, 23,150. And not a single dip to be had. Every single move is higher and higher. And we're doing this little contrition style price action here. If ES takes out this range, I would put on another 25 to 30 points on the S&P before the end of the day. Rocket ships. Although NASDAQ can't recover. It's only the S&P, so... Oh, man. Let's delete all this crap off. YM. Platinum came off. RTY is rocketing. So a little precursor. When RTY is on your side, there you go. Gold's still coming off nicely. Oil bounced and recovered. Just one of those days where none of my targets are hitting. On all the other names, at least. Google came off about half. AI is our new reality. Yeah. Yeah. I was trying to explain to my teenager how we used to live back in the 90s. He's like, what happened when you left the house? How did people find you? I was like, that's the beauty of it. No one found you until you got back home. He's like, that's so cringe. Payphones, yeah. Looking for your friend's bikes? Heck yeah, that was great. Skibbity payphones, yeah. Well, we already know why they got rid of payphones, right? That's the only way for us to escape the matrix. Oh man, 1.45 billion in puts, 1.3 billion in calls, but another bottom wick. Every single candle's bottom wicked. We had a little top over right there from 63.40 down to 30, and they immediately bottom wicked back up. What's Nasdaq doing? Nasdaq is not moving still. Where's the 1 minute? Do we have any volume spikes? 5 minute, 15, 30, 120. A big old fat doji on the 120 minute chart. $10.10.220. Only 10 cents a minute. Or Howie, what was it? What was that guy? Howie? He's the one who did that. Come on, baby. Give me something. Well, so far the weekly thesis is working out well. This is what I expected. And I still think I'm going to be right to end the week too. I think we'll end it back down with a test of 62.40 on a yes. How do people find people before your cell phones when you left? That's the neat part. They didn't. Heck yeah. They didn't find you. '90s were a great time. Another bottom wick. Which time's going to break it to the high side? 63.43. I've seen this chart before, baby. Here it goes. This one looks like it. This looks like it. What happened? 50 points higher. On the signals channel, we consider marking your entries. The zones are super helpful. I don't know how that would help. I mean, I'm telling you exactly what I'm using for decision making. But yeah. Yeah, dial up on the internet. That's fantastic. Here it goes. Ten ten G20, that's a real throwback. Yeah, it is, baby. We add a baby, eats a boy. Holy crap-a-roni, look at that liquidity. 23,350. Look at this liquidity here at 63.41 and 44. How many people out there are saying it can't keep going up? Knowing how to read them out. You remember printing out the instructions from MapQuest anytime you need to make a road trip? That was a great time. I believe it, Vampire. How would you play along like this? Well, this is a difficult market. Today's scenario, today's price action is my least favorite setup, and unfortunately, it's starting to happen frequently, where the market just rockets and never stops going. It never sells off. For a pullback, I love longing bounces. I love longing retracements. It's one of my favorite things to do. However, the theme of these days that we've seen, it's literally happening like once a week now for months, is you wait for the market to absorb. You let the signs start to pile in with either the options or the order flow. Once it starts to retrace high, you play the retest, and then you go long. But other than that, that's really all there is to do it. It's just, the market's already up 40-something points, and it's obviously not stopping. So, yeah. Again, it's not the greatest thing because, like I said, this is my favorite setup to play. But I know I've learned a lot where you don't short a market like this. Now, what's NASDAQ? NASDAQ is starting to kind of claim a little higher, but it's very weak relative, which is odd. Usually, NASDAQ is the strength leader, not the laggard. You can get a Kel-Tec 9mm pistol for $200 at Palmetto State. Heck yeah, baby. Here we go. It's about to go, homie. Here comes 63.45 on the S&P. The giant atlas book you kept in your car. Yeah. It's amazing how the order book can be so drastically different from the last session. 2 sessions ago, they were dumping everything. Now, they won't even give you a red candle. And it's been 3 hours, 2 hours. That's what trading is, baby. Now, here's the thing. Do we have a lower close to get us into a short position? No. But what has the 3 criteria identified? We have identified a supply. Because look what happens. We have high volume inflow. We have a top wick right here. That has identified the high price of the day. So the 3 criteria is still very much in effect. We just haven't retested that level yet. So we still could hit this and dump back over. So right now, my main focus is right here at 63.43 or so. Because if they climb over it and close it and bounced, we're going up another 30 points. But if they continue to top wick off of it, then we're going to have to come down and regather inventory. So this is your make or break, and the 3 criteria has identified the supply. There's the candle. Here's the top of it. Here's your volume. Right there. It just hasn't triggered anything else. It hasn't triggered a lower close. It hasn't triggered a major top wick yet. So we've only gotten one of the criteria. Do I track RSP? Negative. How about RSI? Negative. What you see on my chart is what I track from a charting standpoint. The only exception is volume profile, which I don't use during the session. I use it before the session. So this little... come on now. The histogram right here. This right here is everything I use. U.S. construction data. What do we have? Has slowed down considerably year over year. I went to Lowe's this past weekend because I had no other option. I loathe going to Lowe's to get wood. And I had to get it because all the other lumber yards were closed on the weekend. And it's absolutely ridiculous what the cost of lumber is at Lowe's. It literally, no exaggeration, 3 times the cost of 84 lumber. $7 for a 2x6, an 8-foot 2x6, $4 for an 8-foot 2x4. It's ridiculous. And I'm not even joking. It's ridiculous. Menards is the only big box I'll buy material from. There you go. I bought all the materials, giant flatbed truck of materials for my chicken coop. It was $700, and it had plywood, had everything I needed. I go to Lowe's, I get like 3 2x4s, a couple of 2x6s, and a 14-foot 2x6 was $210. I was like, you nuts? It's crack prices. Anyway, red candles. Rejecting the trend. Hey, McKennedy would love a day like today, baby. He'd be freaking going nuts over today's price action. Look at this trend line. Do I prefer the 15-minute or the 5-minute? I like them both. Both have their application. Both have their application. Hey, what's going on here? Take it easy. Sounds like my wife at the grocery store. 5 items a cart, $250 bill. Yeah. We have a monthly grocery budget, and it's getting more and more difficult to stay under that budget because of the prices of everything. Sweeping red candle. Does it stay down or do they bottom wick it again? So far, they're bottom wicking it again. Relax. What's up, Mitch? What's up, Mitch? We've had our bump up our monthly budget quite a bit, even after my daughter's leaving home to go to college. Yeah. Next year, we are tripling the size of our garden. We're going to attempt to grow all of our vegetables, and then we're going to buy 2 full cows, and that's it. We're not going to the grocery store again after that, except for minor dairy products. We're going off grid, baby. Call premium still elevated. Yep. Well, we have 1.3 in puts. We have 1.28 in calls. So we have more puts than calls, but neither side of the option chain is breaking. They're not selling either one of them. They're just buying. And look, another massive bottom wick on the S&P. So they're literally not going to move out of this range, at least now. Doesn't matter how quick of a move they're making. They're bottom wicking and top wicking everything. The longer they stay up here, the higher the probability that they're going to face rip this thing. Look, another massive bottom wick. Team up with a local FFA or high school for livestock prices. That's a good idea. Didn't think about that. I was an FFA in high school. That's good stuff. They taught me how to weld. Literally or factually? Factually, literally. That is factually literally true. To give you an idea of Lowe's, this morning I was talking to another house flipper, and he said he got the special pricing from my coach and saved 36% on his order at Lowe's. They are crazy margins. Can you get a hero update? Yeah. So if you're looking at here right here, the green line is calls, the purple line is, or I guess blue, magenta. I don't know. I don't know colors. 1.2 billion in puts, 1.2 billion in calls. We're neck and neck in terms of notional value. Do I live in Alaska? I do. I do. Nuvik, Alaska, NUV, UK. Your patience is mind-blowing. If you looked at it the way I look at things, you wouldn't think that. You know why I have good patience? Because one, I know I'm terrible at days like today. Number two, look what's happened the past week. I've waited for these big bounces, and I've netted a very high profit just from chilling. That's why you're here. Touche. So I have come to relish being in this position where I'm just chilling. I got nothing going on, and I'm just waiting. Because when it comes up, when I sit up in my seat, I'm like, oh, here we go. That's where I take a trade, and that's where I do really well. Now, I'm not taking very many trades, literally. I took less than like 35 trades, 30 trades the entire month of July. I was averaging 5 to 6 trades a week, if that, simply because I'm just waiting. And it treated me very well. July was the best execution month I've had the entire year, simply because I was burnt out to start the summer, and I made a goal that I was going to just trade as little as possible unless I saw something high confidence, and that's what I stuck to. And it did very, very well. I got pulled into a live account. I did very well on my options, which the options I did trade. So I was doing well across all facets simply because I traded less. And right now, I know what's coming. And the sign, when it approaches, I'm going to be ready for it. I'm not going to be all stressed out because I've already blown accounts. I'm not going to be stressed out because I've overtraded. I've literally got a clean slate. The point of the trader isn't to trade, it's to make money. There you go. Once you see the results of patience, you realize it's more about your impatience. Yeah. Trust me, I learn more from you all, I think, than you learn from me. Simply because, yes, you get my technical knowledge, but I get insight into your emotions through your DMs, through your posts, through what you share with the community. So I'm learning, hey, there's a much larger component of the emotional side of trading than I originally thought. Because every one of your problems has to do with the fact that you can't control your emotions, or you haven't developed an emotional or discipline edge. And I've learned that from you all. It's great. We're coming up on a breaking point here. We're constricting. I loved Alaska, but I couldn't do the daylight hours. I was up for 48 hours without even knowing it. Yeah. Price action's tight. Yep. Do you really live in Alaska? I was 99% sure you said Eastern time zone before. Yeah, Eastern Alaskan time zone. What's up from India? It's up, Harsh. How you doing? Welcome. It's always very interesting to me the reach that we have here around the world. Crazy times we live in, man. $63.40 here. Looks like we're about to get out of this little rangy here. They are starting to sell off some of the puts and increase into the calls. NASDAQ is starting to finally tip up a little bit. But that's all we have here, man. NASDAQ has a monumental amount of liquidity at 23,340, which is 120 points higher. Absolutely nothing about the NASDAQ 15 says take a short. You are 100% correct. Nor does it say it on the 5-minute on the S&P. Here it goes. Are you using Trace or just Hero? I use both. Both Trace and Hero. Will patience pay off? For which side of the tape? Will you go long on the breakout to the upside? On a retest, I will. NASDAQ's liquidity is pulling much higher. I'm focusing right now a lot on all three of these components. The VPA on the charts, the fact that they're selling puts, and this big pull up to 23,340. So, to me, this looks like they're going to smoke it. I would say 355 or so. I guess smoke it can be construed as either one of those. I would say they're going to go higher before they go lower. Post-earnings vol crush. We have VIX still getting wrecked. That's part of the reasons why this is happening as well, is this right here. They're not the fact that they're not being able to move the VIX at all. There we go, 63.40. Still climbing. $63.41, and they're going to break it. Here we go, breaking out. Can NASDAQ follow suit and blast it? Do you see bears or wolves often over there, like crossing the streets? A lot of moose and polar bears. I got a pet moose, actually. I call him Pete. Pete the moose. $63.42. Here he comes. Drinking iced tea up here, all the moose and polar. Absolutely. Absolutely. 63.43 is coming along. It can't keep climbing like this. Please go down. It can keep going like this. 63.43. Here is the target zone for supply after this. We have this whole SR flip area into the 50s and 60s. So I would probably say somewhere in this ballpark is going to be my target. This little 5-6 point range here is going to be my target. If this break to 63.43, which looks likely. Have you seen the chart? Yeah, definitely. Yep, buy the dip. Buy the dip. 63.43, they're about to do it. Booyah. Blastaroni, baby. 63.45. Here it goes. Here it goes. New high of the day. Can you go back to your rectangle? Am I using the body? So looking at this, I just want to pick a zone that is the prior retest of the market. So the prior support area in this market was about 63.70 and change. Doesn't have to be pinpoint accurate, but you could see in this area, we have top wick, we have some fluctuation, we have big bottom wick, we have another big bottom wick, we have a top wick. So 63.70 is the main area here to kick off, one, the imbalance that was created on July 31st. Number two, that's the main liquidity pivot in the market. Every time there's a bounce of rejection on the micro scale, it's happening at about 63.70. So now that the market is blasting nonstop, I would probably say 63.70 is about where they're going to target. Now, where's the 50% too? 50% puts us at, 60 or so, 56.60, so right in that target area as well. So anywhere in this area, I would probably say to narrow it down between 60, 65, and change, that 5 or 6 point move is where they're going to do it. That's the target. On the 5-minute scale, the prior supply was right here at 63.43. We've already taken that out. If we close it, then you completely negate all of the supply here, which it looks like they're about to close it. And then it's off to the races. Maybe a little small top tick to retest, and then boom, off to the races for the afternoon. But this right here, this is my worst session setup. Because of that, I've become very in tune with this style of price action because it's happened so many times the past 4 months. This is usually something that doesn't happen very often, but the past 4 months, it's seemingly happened in every single week. So because of that, I've become in tune with it, and it's actually treating me very well. Where you absolutely cannot short until you've got massive signs saying that it is time to go down. You can call it spidey sense, you can call it situational awareness, you can call it whatever you want, but right now, everything about this does not scream anything about short. It's about absorption, 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 higher. Now they put on 23,340 and up we go. Blastaroni, baby. Well, thanks, Kyle. Appreciate it. I would have already tried to call it scalp like 3 times in the past. Learning and find absolutely futures. Appreciate you, buddy. That's what it's all about, man. It's always trying to move the needle. Anytime you claim that you know everything, you're probably lost. You can lose a fortune short into absorption. Probably Eminem. I love it. I love it. I know you're not looking to short here, but my past 3. If I see a 3 criteria, I will look to short. That's the beautiful thing about that system is that if I see something on the 3, now I will tell you, with this style of price action, I may have to demand it on the 15 just to really give me confidence. But that's the beautiful thing about this system is that if it pinpoints a blatant entry, then I'll take it. What's up, Lord Quackazoid? I'm new. What options would you recommend I trade? I've seen a lot of recommendations for SPY, but I've seen you trade the NASDAQ a lot. Well, if you want to trade the NASDAQ on a SPY equivalent, you would trade the QQQ. First of all, welcome. Yes, absolutely. I would trade what we call the Qs, which is QQQ. It's the same thing. It's what SPY is to the NASDAQ is to the S&P. If you want to trade anything else, then you could trade any of the top 10 mega caps. The main thing, though, I would stay away from short-dated options. I would keep to at least weekly strikes. Man, they're putting on another liquidity here under 23,240. We just went up to 2.3 billion in calls right here. We're now doing what's called a support resistance flip right here, which is you break the resistance, and now you turn a resistance into a new support. The mechanics of the order book. That's a very bright color red, isn't it? Would you long here based on price action? If the market's going to bounce, it's going to do it right here. And if it does, that's when you're going to get your move. This is the rollover to retest prior support, and then it goes. So the people who try to chase the breakouts, this is where they get tripped up, is right in this area. All right, it's about lunchtime for me. There you go. I'll try SPY and Qs to get used to everything. Currently using paper account. Are there any advantages or disadvantages either? No, it's just the Qs track tech and the S&P tracks all the S&P names. So you just have to be aware of what's going on in the underlying markets. So situational awareness, side note, is very, very important. It's one of the reasons I built my watch list the way I have, because it's very intentional. I've got the top 10 of the S&P. I've got all the 10 X sectors of the S&P. I've got my futures. I've got everything. And I'm able to look at this chart every single day at a moment's notice and kind of figure out what the general consensus is of the market. If all this bright green, then I'm not necessarily looking to go short, or at least looking for a big rollover yet. Now, there's a lot to it, obviously, but I can look at this any time of the day. If it's mixed red and green, that's a mixed day. If it's bright red or bright green, I kind of know what's going on. Now, that might be some sort of self-fulfilling prophecy thing, but it's a very analytical tool for me. It's not something that I just willy-nilly post whatever crap I want on there just because there's a target profit on there. So definitely be in tune with the markets. Market awareness is a strong indication in and of itself. All right, y'all, I'm calling it a day. Any further questions, please let me know. Shoot me a DM, whatever you got. I'm getting pretty close to being caught up on all my DMs, so my response time should start to shorten. Remember, we do have the additional week of entering the competition if you'd like to do so. We're doing a TakeProfitTrader competition to see you can keep a funded account open for 30 days while actively trading. That's the key. Using the code. OMTPT is the code. Oscar Mike Tango Papa Tango. Appreciate you being here. Blast off day. Do not even consider shorting unless you have the 3 criteria. And maybe even for bonus points, option chain and the order book. Hope you have a good rest of the day. I'm out. See you.